up, everybody? How's it going out there? It's a Friday. It's a festive Friday. It's the last Friday without regular season football for the Green Bay Packers. 1 week from today, they go international and they head on down to Brazil. So today, I was actually thinking earlier today, like, man, there's not really going to be anything to talk about because, you know, the roster's progressed and then there hasn't been this massive flurry of moves. I mean, we've already kind of covered those, but the practice squad still isn't solidified. And, well, then all of a sudden, about 5 minutes ago, the Green Bay Packers dropped news that all of a sudden the practice squad is full and it is solidified and, by what we think, done now. So we can go over the practice squad, including the 3 new additions to the practice squad, talk about who isn't on it. Rather notably, I was kind of waiting / rooting for one name, and it just never quite worked out. But then we also have the Packers announcing which jerseys they're going to be wearing down in Brazil. I know. And then, just a couple minutes ago, they also dropped their first unofficial depth chart leading into the regular season. Now, I will preface that by saying we will go over it. But, like any unofficial depth chart, we don't know the degree to which Matt LaFleur was involved in the crafting of this depth chart. Keep in mind the training camp one is basically always the VP of communications, JT Waller, scribbling down a bunch of names from when he sees a camp, goes, hey, coach, this good? Coach goes, eh. And then they publish it. So how valid, we don't really know. So hello to everyone out there. My name is John. I'm the host here, but this is Partner in Life, Partner Pod. Claudia, we're here to take you through a couple questions. Dave is here. He's here right away. What's up, Dave?
I see that we signed Andrew Beck to the practice squad. Is this the same one from the other year we had?
I don't think so. I'm not going to lie. Since they dropped it like 3 minutes ago, I haven't totally dove into these guys. I don't think so, though. I do have a little capsule here, though, from the Packers article about Andrew Beck. So let's just cover that one right from the get-go, shall we, Dave? This is what Packers.com has to say about Beck. It says Beck, 6'3", 252 pounds. A sixth-year player out of the University of Texas, was originally signed by the New England Patriots as an undrafted free agent on May 2nd, 2019. He was claimed off waivers by the Denver Broncos on September 1st, 2019, and went on to play in 51 games with 10 starts from 2019 to 2022. Beck then signed with the Houston Texans in 2023 and saw action in 15 games with a career-high 12 starts and started in both postseason contexts. For his career, Beck has 25 receptions for 214 yards and 3 touchdowns, as well as 6 rushing yards on 8 attempts and a touchdown. He also returned 2 kickoffs. This is the exciting part. Nixon has competition. He returned 2 kickoffs for 94 yards, including one for an 85-yard touchdown, becoming the first fullback to record a kick return touchdown since Jacksonville Jaguars fullback Derek Wimbush in 2005. He'll wear number 47. So there you go. It does not mention the Packers at all. I do believe that this is a different Andrew Beck. So, just to give you an idea overall here of the Packers' total practice squad now. This is fully updated. Some poor intern in 1265 Lombardi just did all this updating. So this is the full 17-man practice squad for the Green Bay Packers now complete. 1, Deslin Alexander, defensive end. Andrew Beck, who we just discussed, fullback. Omar Brown, safety. They just actually signed him, I believe it was yesterday. Spent some time in Denver Bronco training camp. He was someone that the Packers brought in for a top 30 visit this year. They see someone they had some level of interest in. Now he finds himself on the Packers practice squad. And then, as I'm sure you know, they also brought back Sean Clifford, Cliff Dog, back on the practice squad. Also retaining James Esther. Kamal Haddon, one of the players retained today, signed to the practice squad. Alex Hale, the IPP kicker. Julian Hicks, the wide receiver out of Albany. Donovan Jennings, the UDFA with the big signing bonus. Didn't make the 53, did make the practice squad. Kalen King, of course, being retained on the practice squad. Ellis Merriweather, Robert Rochelle. Chris Russell, he was signed since the last time we met. Lecatus Smith, Messiah Swinson, and then also signed since last time we met, Jalen Wayne. So that is your full 17-man practice squad. And if you're wondering, because you keep meticulous notes on this kind of thing, what about Nate McCrary? Well, today they moved Nate McCrary to the practice squad injured reserve. So he obviously suffered something, and we don't know what, and he was moved to the IR. So that is the Packers' full 17-man squad. Now, if you're curious about those other 2 guys, here are the capsules about the other 2 players the Packers just signed. As for Kamal Haddon, he's another name that I remember from Draft Talk, so this could be another guy potentially that the Packers had their eyes on. Haddon, 6'1", 192 pounds, a rookie out of the University of Tennessee, was originally selected in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft by the Kansas City Chiefs and was released by the Chiefs after training camp. He played 3 seasons for Tennessee and 1 season for Independence Community College in 2020. Haddon played in 23 games with 15 career starts for the Vols, recording 87 career tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, and 18 passes defended. In 2023, he started the first 7 games and tied for the team lead with 3 interceptions, including 1 returned for a touchdown, and ranked number 6 in the SEC with a team-high 8 passes defensed before sustaining a season-ending shoulder injury. Haddon will wear number 36 for the Packers. Oh, pour one out for Anthony Johnson Jr. And then, because they moved McCrary to IR, they also brought in LaMichael Pirine. I looked it up earlier. That's apparently how you say that. It's LaMichael Pirine. And here's the little blurb on Pirine if you want to read that one for us, please.
Yeah, 5'11", 216, a fourth-year player out of the University of Florida, was originally selected in the 4th round, number 120 overall, of the 2020 NFL Draft by the New York Jets. He played in 14 regular season games for the Jets from 2020 to 2021, and 5 games with 1 start for the Kansas City Chiefs in the year 2023. Pirine also spent time on the practice squads of the Philadelphia Eagles in 22 and the Miami Dolphins from 22 to 23. Pirine has recorded 340 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on 94 attempts, a 3.6-yard average, with 14 receptions for 96 yards, a 6.9 average. He will wear number 35 for the Green Bay Packers.
Hey, there you go. Dave contributing with, the Green Bay Packers are holding an unofficial pre-draft visit with Texas tight end Andrew Beck on Thursday, according to Mike Garafolo of NFL Network. This is the same Beck. Guess it was a pre-draft. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I got you now, Dave. All right, so they did, I just didn't remember that, but they did a pre-draft visit with Beck back in 2019. Yeah, given the years, that's got to be the same guy. So, some familiarity there for the Packers to do a pre-draft visit. And Good even did say in his press conference held a couple days ago, he talked about how guys that they have interest in the draft, they then track in their early careers. It's part of the way Malik Willis wound up here. So not surprising that Gutekunst kind of goes through his past Rolodex here to add to the Packers practice squad and really round it out. In terms of the Packers total practice squad, there are a couple things here that I think are notable, and one would be the positions that were addressed. Okay, keep in mind too, players have options, right? If they're offered a practice squad spot, they don't have to take it. They can hold out, hope to go somewhere else. They can hold out, hope for a 53 spot, etc. It's not like they have to accept a practice squad designation from a team, even if that team cut them. And so there's a few things here, like one, on this list of practice squad, you do see Messiah Swinson, but the one that we all assumed would be there was more the receiving threat in Joel Wilson. Joel Wilson was not retained on the practice squad. Or how about another player that I thought it's notable was not retained on the practice squad? Again, could be personal choice. Benny Sapp. Now, Benny Sapp signed the same kind of contract that Bo Melton did last year. If you recall, towards the end of the year, after Melton had his couple 100-yard games, he didn't just sign a 53-man roster contract for the rest of the year. He signed through this year as well. Kind of an unorthodox move for a elevated practice squad player. Benny Sapp had the same situation at the end of the year. Benny Sapp, at least this time, is not even being brought back to the Packers practice squad. So something else that I thought was notable there. And then the last thing, that as you look over this roster of practice squad players, and I know you could argue Travis Glover probably is this guy for them, but ultimately what you don't see, offensive tackle. There's not one here. Sure, there's Donovan Jennings, who was a tackle in college, but he's now playing guard in the NFL. There's Leketta Smith, who's very much an interior lineman, but something you just don't see. No tackles on the practice squad. And maybe you just want to say Glover is that. Notably, too, defensive end, only Deslin Alexander is there. They didn't load up on edge rushers in their practice squad. Maybe because they kept 6 on the roster. So let's take a look now at the Packers depth chart again, because this all just dropped in like the 5 minutes before we went live. I was thinking all morning, what are we going to talk about? And then they solved that so fast. So this is the Packers unofficial, and I stress that, unofficial depth chart. You can see there, maybe a touch small, but I hope not. But you can see there, wide receivers, Watson, Dobbs. They obviously get the first ones along with Jaden Reed right there. The depth at wide receiver, they put Dontavian Wicks basically at wide receiver 4 with Malik Heath and Bo Melton there as well. I should note that the Packers do kind of, when they isolate that third wide receiver spot on the depth chart, kind of an indication of slot. And so you see Jaden Reed and Bo Melton technically behind Jaden Reed on the depth chart. Then another thing of note here, the offensive line. Of course, you've got Sheed at left tackle, Elton at left guard, Josh at center. They still list Jordan Morgan at right guard 1, not Sean Ryan, who's been filling in at right guard 1 since Morgan suffered his shoulder injury. Will Morgan be back for week 1? No one knows for sure quite yet. And then moving over to the defensive side, really just one interesting thing that I saw here. How about that list of names? Linebacker. Now, Edgerrin Cooper did miss a massive chunk of camp with an injury. And Hapa is Hapa. But the 3 starting linebackers on the depth chart as of right now are Isaiah McDuffie, Quay Walker, and Eric Wilson. I would expect that starting job that Eric Wilson has right now will become Edgerrin Cooper's sooner rather than later. But with Cooper missing so much of camp, this was kind of to be expected. And then really just the last thing, I do want to point it out, you got Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard starting at safety. Then in the second string, they left this blank, and they just put Evan Williams. And then they bucked Oladapo and Anderson all the way to like the third row down here. They didn't want to give either one of them a second string nod.
Aw.
Kick them to the third. Yeah, because you know what was supposed to be there? That was Anthony Johnson Jr.'s spot.
The agenda takes a hit.
It took a massive hit I cut down there in regards to Anthony Johnson Jr. All right, so that is kind of the news of the day. The last thing, not nearly as transactional, but the last bit of news for the day, I don't know if you saw it, but the Green Bay Packers are going to be donning their home uniforms in Brazil. Yes, it came out today that they're going to be wearing their green home uniforms in Brazil. And if the alarm bells in your head are going off about wearing green, don't worry about it. It's already been assured that it's not an issue. It was not the thing that everyone else made it out to be. But they are going to be wearing their home green as the Philadelphia Eagles are electing to wear some combination of white and black. It's not the pure blacks that I thought it might be. Instead, it's like they're doing white and black helmets, and they were bragging on Twitter about how it's a combo you've never seen before. So they're rolling out something new, and the Packers are like, yeah, we'll just take our home jerseys. It's fine. It's going to be fine. So that is the news of the day. And that really is kind of it. All right, Dave, what you got?
So, what do you think the impact on reporting will be about the game since they are trying to ban Twitter in Brazil?
Yeah, speaking of news that just dropped, right? I saw the Brazil Supreme Court. I'm not super familiar with this. It's not like I followed along real closely. But from my understanding, the Brazilian Supreme Court has essentially banned Twitter, or X, in Brazil now, like for good, at least until Musk does some things differently. And I've seen the initial reaction from some of the Packers beat, especially down there. Like I know Rendell Ferreira, Felipe, there's some guys who cover the Packers, I think in a full-time capacity now, who are really looking forward to this and now are falling 8 days or 7 days short of really kind of their time to shine. I don't know. For my thing, I think it's impeccably terrible timing for the Green Bay Packers. If you were to ask me basically any other week of the year, what do you care about Brazil and X? It's just not something that's personal to me. Well, now it is. So Dave's saying, I suggested a VPN, but their president is stating 8K fines a day. I saw that as well. Yeah, that's basically their stance from their law enforcement agencies, is that if you do live in Brazil and you utilize a VPN and they figure out that you did, I don't know how great the risk is that they could figure that out, right? But if they do, it's something like $8,400 a day in fines for accessing a VPN. So they're not screwing around with this. In terms of, if you're wondering about Packers coverage, I did see Wendell. He put out there, I believe Felipe did the same, that they would be covering figuring out how, at least on Instagram, for the next couple of days, and as these things kind of evolve around them. So I don't know. I just look at this and I go, that's a hardcore bummer for the people who have been waiting for this forever to have their moment and then have it like they're still going to get their moment, right? But it's certainly a lot different now for those who've worked really hard on Twitter to build themselves some kind of community, and away it goes. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is the news of the day. If nobody else has anything else, then we're going to go enjoy our Friday. Next week, be on the lookout. I haven't decided exactly what the calendar is going to look like next week. I promise. I swear. Like, there's a game on Friday now. We just can't have a normal week to save our freaking lives. So it's coming. But anyway, I haven't figured out the exact calendar for next week, but we will sneak in LTB Live. We are going to do our game preview against the Eagles, of course. And then next week, Friday, is a watch party. It'll be me and Claudia sitting here reacting to everything for Packers versus Eagles in the season opener. Dave then saying the joys of a dictatorship. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I read like at least one legal analysis of it that I talked about like why it's occurring. I just didn't dive much into it. It's just not for me.
Can't say I've really looked into it.
Well, and like obviously I'm on Twitter, right? I'm not thrilled to be on Twitter or anything like that. I think people can tell from how not active I am. But like I don't know. It's just I'm so turned off to what Twitter, like I just miss the way it used to be. So I don't pay much attention to news about it either, personally. So, all right, everybody. If nobody's got anything else, then I think we're gonna get jumping out of here. We're gonna go enjoy our Friday. So, you do the same. Go enjoy this. This is your last weekend. If you've got a fantasy football draft this weekend, blessings, luck, all the things to you. Hope it goes well for you. I know that's what we're doing all day Sunday with our family weeks. So we're gonna get on out of here. That's the news of the day. We'll see you next week. I'll put out something this weekend about what the calendar will look like. So thanks, everybody. Go have a good one. And as always, go Pack Go.